Alright, first things first, let's get this thing unboxed. So we need to get rid of these straps. I could have used a sharper blade, but that's alright. Now, this should just lift off. Alright. Got a couple pieces of packaging foam in there, and then this piece just lifts off as well. Got to scoot a little closer to the edge here. Get this next piece off of here. All right. So much for not damaging the styrofoam. It's all good. It's going to the trash anyhow. All right. So on top of the box, you've got your legs, which are quite heavy. I'm assuming these are the crossbars. Got your keys taped here on top as well. Let's go ahead and spin this around just to make it face forward. And you've got the little bit more styrofoam in the sides. It's packaged very well, which is good because it protects it from shipping. So you've got your, comes with 4 keys for 1 lock. That's pretty good, I guess. I don't know why they give you 4, but I mean, you could hide them all over the place if you need to, I suppose. All right. Got a little bit of marring here from where it was against that. Got your owner's manual inside, as well as your hardware pack, your gas struts. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and gather up the tools that are necessary so I can let you know right up front here, and then we'll get this thing assembled. All right, guys, so you're going to need a 13mm. I've got a short and a deep, and an extension just in case. And then you're also going to need a Phillips screwdriver. So the first thing I'm going to do is get the Phillips screwdriver, and I'm going to put this handle on, which is just 2 screws in from the back side. Alright, so from the back side, you'll put your screw into place. Then you can go ahead and get one side of your handle started. Then get the other screw, put it through. This one will be a smidge trickier because you're not going to be able to use the handle to get it started. So just, you know me, I always like to start everything by hand, and then go ahead and get your screwdriver and tighten everything down. And a longer screwdriver will come in a little bit more handy. So I'll extend this pline out. Go ahead and get this other side tightened up. And that's it. Handles on, good and secure. And the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and mount my gas struts. So we'll need 2 of our M8 nuts, and these gas struts go on the inside. When you mount this strut, they face the inside of the box, not the outside. If you put them on the outside, you'll lose some room over here for your screwdriver and pry bar storage. So make sure you have them facing in like that. And I'm going to go ahead and get these nuts on. Okay, so for these bottom ones, you're actually going to need an open end wrench, and then I'm going to use a ratchet wrench because it's going to fit in here a lot easier than the socket. Go ahead and get that tightened up. And let me see if I'm forgetting the yeah, there's washers too, so probably need to be putting washers in here. I'm going to pull this back off and put a washer on it. Scratch that because the struts don't call for washers. They only give you washers to mount your side uprights on. Quick note for your open end on these strut bracket bolts, you're actually going to want a 12 millimeter, not a 13. I don't know why they feel the need to use something different there, but it is what it is. Go ahead and get this tightened up, and then I'll get the other one put on. Alright, so I lifted that out and set it over here. She's a little heavier than one might expect. So you got your handle in the first long drawer, and then in the bottom long drawer you've got some more brackets, your casters, and your side rack. Alright, so now with everything else out of the box, you can see your little drawing there. So I've got my bottom flipped upside down. So you're going to put your two straight casters on one side and your two swivel casters on the other side, and you're just going to use your nuts, bolts, and washers that you have in the blister pack here. So let's get that sorted. So now we're getting into this. I put a fresh blade in because we're just going to make a little slice in here so we can get our bolts through. So we're going to make a little slice in each one of these. And then with your caster hardware, you can go ahead and tighten these all the way up, but when you start doing your uprights, you're going to want to only hand tighten them until you get everything together, and then go back and tighten everything down. So you're going to want to use your longer bolts, the 20 millimeters, and go ahead and push it through. And then these are carriage bolts, so they're going to hold themselves in the slot from turning one way or the other. I didn't do a very good job cutting this one. There we go. This backer kind of sticks, kind of doesn't stick. The pad on the inside, that is. So I'm going to go ahead and put my straight casters on this side. And let's see, they are calling for washers on these. There is a right and a wrong way to use a washer. You'll see you've got a smooth edge on one side and a sharp edge on the other side. So you want to put your sharp edge facing down. It doesn't really matter. I'm just a little bit of a stickler for that. And then you can go ahead and put your nut on. And these are nylon locking nuts. So now I can get my 13 mil ratchet and tighten this thing down. And like I said, the carriage bolt will hold itself in the slot, but you're going to want to hold it in place until you get it tight enough to where it is held up. Because if it can pop down out of the slot, it's not going to tighten. All right, I'll get all these other ones on and I'll be back with you. So as I make my way to the other side and I'm putting the swivel casters on, I'm thinking to myself, maybe I didn't need to put a slice in that little foam rubber deal on the other side. Maybe I could have just lifted that up and put the bolts under that. And you could probably do that, but I'm going to leave mine the way it is, since how I already cut it to fit them. And that'll help hold that thing in place. And then in the future, if it gets tore up and I gotta freaking get rid of it, then I'll get rid of it and deal with the consequences then. Much quicker with the battery powered ratchet. Alright, so now I've got all 4 casters on. In the future, I'm probably going to upgrade the straights to swivels, so it's got 4 swivels on it, but for now, that's all we're going to do. So I'm going to move over into the barn to put the rest of this together. And yeah, this thing moved on me a little bit, or just I wasn't paying attention. It was moved in the first place, so it's a little cockeyed, but you're never going to see it. And with the bolts going through there like that, she's going to be a permanent part of the cart until you rip it or take it out of there by taking off the casters. So let's go ahead and move into the barn and start working on the uprights. I've got my 4 uprights on. There is a little arrow sticker for facing up. And the reason being is because these center holes are not in the center up and down. They're closer to the bottom than they are the top. So you put all your carriage bolts, washers, and nuts in and just hand tight on all 4 corners. Now we can do our center cross members, and same thing, just put them all in hand tight. Alright, now everything is still hand loose. You want your shelves to be facing upward, and then the long ones are on top of the short ones. And then on the swivel side, you're going to put your can rack with it as well. And then the next step will be setting the toolbox into place, which they do not recommend doing by yourself, but since I'm by myself, guess what? I'm be doing it by myself. So I'm going to set the camera up for it because there could be some carnage. Will I get hurt? Won't I get hurt? We'll see. Yeah, it would definitely be easier with the helper for sure. Alright, just getting hung up on this back one yet. There we go. Boom. So you can do it by yourself. Now let's get everything lined up and get the bolts in. Now I've got the box set in place on the cart. You got these internal gusset brackets that you add to the top corners. And then on this side, same side as the swivel casters and the shelf, you're going to put your handle. And that's where you're going to use 2 of the longer bolts. So you'll be left with 1 extra long bolt and 2 extra short bolts. And then once I get that in there, I'm going to go ahead and tighten everything down. Alright, so that's the assembly process on the Harbor Freight US General 5-drawer cart. This is the Series 3, the brand new one. It's got the blacked out logo and drawer pulls and locks, all the hardware. Everything is blacked out, so not that I'm a Star Wars geek, but we stormtroopered out over here. See you on the next one. We'll get to modifying and loading this thing out.